Picture a door. A metal door, painted beige or gray, with a number stuck on it in blue plastic digits. A U-shaped handle. A padlock. Thick, heavy, like a barn lock. You insert the key, turn it, lift the door upward. It slides under the ceiling with a metallic roar. Inside, emptiness. Concrete floor, bare walls. It smells like dust and concrete. Now imagine you have 500 of those doors, and every month, someone pays you for each one. You do nothing. You just built the business, built the boxes, rented them out, and the money comes automatically. No tenants, no waiters, no chefs, no shelves, no perishable goods. Just concrete, the door, and a lock. Sounds like the perfect passive income, right? Self-storage. In the United States, it's a $48 billion a year industry, 50,000 facilities. And every year, another 1,500 to 2,000 new ones open. Investors love this sector. REITs hold self-storage as one of their most stable assets. Private investors pour their retirement savings into it, family offices buy facilities in bulk, and the numbers really do look beautiful. The average self-storage facility generates 40 to 50% EBITDA. That's gross profit before interest, taxes, and depreciation. For comparison, an office building, 25%. A multifamily apartment building, 30%. A warehouse, 20%. Self-storage, 45%. It's the highest margin in all of commercial real estate. And demand is stable. 1 in 3 Americans rents a storage unit. 33% of the population. This isn't a niche. This is mainstream. The average rent is $150 a month. The average lease length is 14 months. People don't move out. They move in and stay. Because once you've filled a unit with stuff, pulling it all back out is work. And paying $150 a month is easy. During the 2008 crisis, self-storage performed better than offices and retail. Yes, occupancy dropped, but not catastrophically, from 87% down to 78%, and it recovered in 2 years. Offices took 6 years to recover. Shopping malls, 10. Self-storage, 2. It seems like a business where you simply cannot lose money. But let's open that door and look at what's actually inside. 45% EBITDA, that's before everything. And everything is a lot. More than most beginning investors see before they sign the purchase agreement and get the keys. Let's break down the economics of an average facility. 500 units. Various sizes, from small 5x5s to large 10x20s. Average occupancy, 90%. Average rental rate, $150. Gross revenue, 450 units times $150 times 12 months. That's $810,000 a year, in theory. In practice, some units are rented at a discount. First month for $1, promotional deals, corporate discounts. Real revenue, about $700,000. Now, expenses. The manager. You think self-storage doesn't require staff. It's not true. Someone needs to open the office, answer calls, show units, take payments, solve problems. At a small facility, one person, half-time, $30,000 to $40,000 a year. At a large facility, 2 people plus a management company, $100,000 to $150,000. Utilities. Electricity for lighting the property, ventilation, air conditioning if there's climate control, water for restrooms. In some states, gas for heating common areas, $20,000 to $30,000 a year. Repairs and maintenance. Gates break, locks jam, roofs leak, concrete cracks from frost, ventilation clogs, air conditioners die on the hottest day of the year. Security cameras fail, lights burn out. Budget $15,000 to $20,000 a year for repairs. In a bad year, $50,000. Insurance. Self-storage is a business with high liability risk. Someone drops a box on their foot. Someone's contents get stolen. Someone blames you for mold. Liability insurance, $10,000 to $20,000 a year. Plus property insurance for the building itself, another $5,000 to $10,000. Marketing. In 2025, you can't just open a facility and wait for customers. Google Ads, Facebook, road signs, discounts, loyalty programs. Marketing budget, 10 to 30,000 a year. Property taxes. Depends on the state. California, brutal. Texas, moderate. Average, 15 to 30,000 a year per facility. And the most painful line item, non-payment and evictions. You think if someone doesn't pay, you just change the lock and that's it? No. The law protects the tenant, even in self-storage. The eviction process takes 30 to 60 days of mailed notices, a newspaper ad, an auction of the contents. Yes, you can sell the delinquent tenant's stuff, but an auction is not a store. Bargain hunters show up and offer $50 for the entire unit. Sometimes there really is valuable stuff inside, collectible vinyl records, antique furniture, old coins. More often, junk. A chair with a worn-out seat, boxes of clothes from the 90s, a broken bicycle. The eviction process takes 2 to 3 months. All that time, the unit generates no income. Legal costs, another $500 to $1,000 per procedure. In a good year, 5% of your tenants don't pay. In a bad year, 10 to 15%. If you have 500 units, that's 25 to 75 units that generate no income but require work. After all deductions, net profit from a 500-unit facility is about $150,000 to $200,000 a year. That's 17 to 20% return on capital if you built the facility without debt. And if you used debt, as 90% of investors do, the return drops to 8 to 12%. 8 to 12%. That's still decent for real estate, but it's not passive income dream. It's a job, and the job is harder than it looks. Here's what happens on an average day at a typical self-storage facility. 8 a.m. The phone rings. A tenant says the door is stuck. He can't get his stuff out. He's in a hurry. He's late for work. You call the manager. The manager says he's at another facility. You drive over yourself. Turns out the lock just rusted. You change it. You leave. 10 a.m. A new customer walks in. Wants to see a unit. You show it. He says he'll think about it. He leaves. You never see him again. 11 a.m. The accountant calls. 3 tenants are 45 days overdue, need to start eviction proceedings. You print the notices, go to the post office. Lunch. A woman shows up. She's crying. Her husband died. She doesn't know the code to his unit. You open it. Inside, boxes of documents, old photographs, tools. She cries more. You help her carry boxes out. 2 p.m., a truck pulls up. A new tenant is moving in. But he reserved a small unit and brought furniture for a 3-bedroom apartment. You have to explain that his stuff won't fit. He gets angry. You offer a larger unit. He agrees. Now you have to redo the paperwork. 4 p.m. A neighbor complains about noise. A tenant is playing music inside his unit. You go deal with it. 5 p.m. Clean up. Someone left trash near their unit. Someone spilled paint on the concrete. Someone broke the dolly for moving boxes. 6 p.m. You close the office. You get in your car. Tomorrow, the same thing. This is not passive income. This is property management. With all the problems of a residential building, but without tenants who live on site and can solve their own problems. And that's just the operational side. There's another problem, and it's much scarier. Oversaturation. From 2015 to 2025, the United States built more storage facilities than in the previous 20 years. Every investor, every fund, every pension plan decided that self-storage was a goldmine. And they're right. If you got into the market before 2015, if you built a facility in 2005 and paid off the mortgage, you're printing money. If you built in 2022, you're praying that occupancy reaches 90% before the money runs out. Here are the numbers. In 2010, there were 35,000 self-storage facilities in the US. In 2025, over 52,000. That's 48% growth in 15 years. Meanwhile, the population grew by 12%. We're building storage facilities 4 times faster than the population is growing. In some regions, Texas, Florida, Arizona, Nevada, oversaturation is critical. Around Dallas, within a 10-mile radius of any new facility, there are 3 or 4 others. All new, all with climate control. All with video surveillance and automatic gates, and all fighting for the same customer. When the market is oversaturated, a price war starts. You drop your rent to $120. Your neighbor drops to $100. You drop to $90. At $90 a unit, your facility barely covers operating expenses. The mortgage comes out of your own pocket. Occupancy at new facilities in oversaturated markets, 50 to 60%. Break-even occupancy, 70 to 75%. Below that, you lose money every single month. And here's where the second layer of truth appears. Self-storage is not a business of storing things. It's a business of selling facilities. A huge number of storage facilities are sold every 5 to 7 years. The typical pattern: an investor buys an underperforming or poorly managed facility, puts money into marketing and repairs, raises occupancy from 50 to 85%, and sells to the next investor. The next investor pays more because occupancy is higher and cash flow is more stable. He holds the facility for 5 years, sells it for even more. This works as long as there's a buyer willing to pay more, as long as financing rates are low, as long as banks lend at 3%. In 2022, the Federal Reserve started raising rates. 3% turned into 7, 8. Players who bought facilities in 2021 to 2022 at peak prices can no longer service their debt. Their cash flow is $100,000 to $200,000 a year. Their mortgage payment is $400,000 to $500,000. The shortfall is $200,000 to $300,000 a year. They're forced to sell. But who buys a facility with negative cash flow when rates are high? No one, or almost no one. Sales slow down, prices adjust. In 2024 to 2025, self-storage prices dropped 15 to 20% from the 2022 peaks. And that's not the bottom yet. The market is entering a correction phase. It's not a 2008 crash, but it hurts for those who bought at the peak. Let's look at 2 stories, real ones. First story, a family-owned facility in Ohio, built in 1998. The owners are an elderly couple. The mortgage was paid off long ago. The facility is old. No climate control, no modern gates, no online booking. But occupancy is 94%. Rent is $120. Expenses are minimal. Taxes, electricity. The husband does the repairs himself. Net profit, $180,000 a year. Taxes, $54,000. Take home, $126,000. For a retired couple in Ohio, that's a comfortable life. They don't want to sell. Why would they? The money keeps coming, the work is manageable. Their facility is a money-printing machine because it was built long ago and has no debt. Second story, a facility in Arizona built in 2022. 500 units, climate control, video surveillance, automatic gates, everything beautiful. The investors, 3 partners. They took out a $7 million loan at 4%. Construction took 2 years. They opened in 2024. Occupancy, 55%. Because 2 identical facilities opened nearby in 2023, they had to drop the price to $100. Revenue, $330,000. Expenses, $200,000. Net profit, $130,000. The mortgage payment is $450,000 a year. The shortfall, $320,000. The partners each put in $1 million. In 2 years, their reserves will run out. They're looking for a buyer. But the buyer is offering $4 million for a facility that cost $8. The difference? $4 million in losses. This is the difference between the old market and the new one. Old facilities are gold. New ones are a bet that the market will grow faster than your competitors steal your customers. And there's another factor: demographics. The main customers of self-storage are people over 55. Baby boomers. They've accumulated the most stuff over their lifetimes. They store their deceased parents' belongings. They store their own things when downsizing. They store business archives. They're perfect tenants. They pay on time, they don't make noise, they occupy units for years. Millennials and Gen Z are different. They don't want to buy homes. They rent. They don't accumulate things. They get rid of them. The minimalist movement, Marie Kondo, digital books instead of paper, streaming instead of DVDs, renting instead of owning. All of this reduces demand for storage. The effect is invisible so far. Baby boomers are still 20% of the population, but they control 70% of the wealth. They pay for storage. But in 10 to 15 years, when they start dying or moving into assisted living in large numbers, their stuff will go to landfills and auctions, not into new storage units. Self-storage is a business built on an aging population.
And when that generation is gone, the market will shrink. The market feels this. The big operators are already diversifying. Extra Space Storage launched a mobile app for virtual storage. You take photos of your stuff, they come pick it up, store it in a central warehouse, return it on demand. This isn't classic self-storage. This is logistics. A business with lower margins but higher volume. Public storage is investing in automated facilities with robots. You drive up, scan a QR code, a robot brings your unit to the gate. No staff, no managers, no lines. The big players are preparing for a future where traditional self-storage might not be as profitable. And the small, family-owned facilities are not preparing. They're just hoping everything stays the same. Here's what's interesting. The smartest money in this industry isn't in the most obvious places. The facility owner earns 8 to 12% return on capital. But the companies that sell software to manage facilities, SiteLink, StoreEdge, Easy Storage, earn much more. SaaS subscriptions, high margins, scalability. The companies that insure contents, Storage Protect, Insure My Box, earn commissions on every policy. The tenant pays $15 a month for insurance. The facility operator gets a kickback. No costs, pure profit. The manufacturers of storage units, Janus, Trachter, profit from the construction boom. Every new facility is $500,000 to $1 million in metal structures. The packing companies, U-Haul, Budget, sell boxes, tape, bubble wrap, locks. The tenant pays, the facility owner gets a cut. Just like in road construction, the people standing next to the gold mine earn more than the people digging in it. But let's come back to reality, to what a typical investor sees when they're considering buying a self-storage facility. They look at the income statement. EBITDA, 45%. Great margins. Growth potential. Low competition. They write a check. A year later, they find that occupancy isn't growing. Competitors opened nearby. The manager quit. The new manager is worse. The gates broke. Repairs cost $20,000. 3 tenants aren't paying, and the eviction dragged on for 3 months. They call the broker who sold them the facility. The broker says, "The market is cyclical. Be patient. In 2 years, everything will be fine." They wait. 2 years later, interest rates go up. They can't refinance. The facility generates $100,000, but the mortgage costs $400,000. They want to sell, but there are no buyers. Or there are, but they're offering 30% less than what was paid. This isn't a crash. This is the reality of a business that was sold as passive income. Self-storage is a good business, if you got in early, if you didn't overpay for the facility, if you know how to manage operations, if your market isn't oversaturated, if you have a margin of safety for bad years. It's not passive income. It's a low-margin business with high management demands disguised as passive income. You look at the metal doors and see locks, silence, automatic payments. You don't see the managers dealing with non-paying tenants. The roofs that leak after a hailstorm, the competitors pricing $10 lower, the lenders waiting for the first of the month payment, and the demographic time bomb ticking somewhere in the background. Self-storage is built on a foundation of human accumulation. As long as people buy things, the business lives. But the moment they stop, the concrete boxes will stand there empty. And the owner who invested millions will stand in front of them with keys to every door, but inside, nothing.
That's what's really hiding behind that metal door you opened at the beginning. The door that was supposed to lead to passive income actually leads to work. Work of managing, fighting competitors, surviving in a changing market. Self-storage isn't a money-printing machine, it's a business. With all the risks, all the problems, all the sleepless nights. And once you understand that, you either get out of the game or you learn to play it for real. Because concrete doesn't forgive mistakes, but it doesn't protect you from them either.